Good evening, brothers and sisters. I hope you're doing good. I hope that you are. You had a great weekend, Saturday, and that you did some things that were productive. And I especially hope that you spent time with our Father in heaven and His Son Jesus Christ. Earlier today, I had the great pleasure and honor of doing a collaboration video with Cliff from Helaman's army. We talked about faith, and I think it went well. I think we did a good job. Faith, the topic faith is actually a massive one, and I don't think we had enough time to discuss the whole range of faith. So I hope that you guys were able to I hope when the video is finally published, I hope you guys have a chance to really look through it and listen to what we talk about, and I hope you learn something new about faith. So with that, today's video, I actually had to do a lot of studying on this because of all the military that's in it, the stratagems they used. I actually found a new resource. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my descriptions all the resources I have, and I think you guys would really like those. I use them if they're give me 1 second. Someone with a comment like that. Oh. So as I mentioned the other day, we had a gentleman on one of the shorts, and that he asked if the characters of Dragon Ball would be considered false idols. And just now I got a message from one gentleman at Joseph-RC1XY. Interesting name. He says, there's always someone with a comment like that. Dragon Ball is just a fun show to watch. And Joseph, I couldn't agree more. Dragon Ball is a great show to watch. It's a lot of fun. So thanks for your comment. I appreciate it. Now, I mentioned earlier in the video with Cliff that I had hit 150, but as of this recording, I have 151 subscribers. How blessed do I feel? This is exciting. I'm thankful for all of them, and I have a feeling that most of you are subscribing because of the shorts, the scriptures of the day, and that's great. I'm thankful for all of them. My goal is, now that I hit 150, is once I hit 200, I will do another Q&A. This will allow you guys to ask questions of any topic, as long as they're appropriate, and I will do my best to answer them. That could be anything from life, marriage. Now, why anyone would want to ask marriage advice for a confirmed bachelor, I don't know, but it happens. People have asked me questions about marriage. I don't know. But yeah, if you guys want to, at 200, we will do another Q&A. So if you guys want to start submitting your questions, that's great. It may be a few months before we get to 200. It may be a few days. We never know as YouTubers. So, but let's get started on why you actually are here. I mean, we've spent 5 minutes talking about other things. Let's get started with the Book of Mormon. Okay, so today we're going to be taking over. If you remember from yesterday, they took over Antipara and Cumeni. Now, I'm not sure about the pronunciation of these names because these are funny names, but also talks about how Gid, when he was taking some some prisoners, how they had up and rebelled, they had to kill so many of them, and some of them got away. So today, let's continue. All right. Now, after they had taken the city of Cumeni and stuff, they decided they were going to go after the city of Manti. Now, this city was a lot different than the rest. And I don't have a question to start off. I need to become better at that, but in time. So, now, the Lamanites had been paying attention to the Nephites' strategies that they have been using. And so they knew they couldn't use something that they had already tried. So they decided to try something completely new. Now, we learn here that, let's see here. Now, here we're seeing in verse 3, it's saying that they have to employ their men to maintain the parts of the land, and they're also waiting for provisions from the land of Zarahemla, and they're hoping for these soon. And Helaman writes here, he says, "And I did send an embassy to the governor of the land to acquaint him concerning the affairs of the people," and how they are waiting for supplies. Well, unbeknownst to Helaman and his people, we are having a problem with the kingsmen at this very time. So everything that is going on with the kingsmen is going on right now, while Helaman and all these people are fighting the Lamanites. Now, they have received almost no supplies. They've had no support, and their men are starting to feel it. But on the other hand, you see the Lamanites, they're getting provisions daily. They're getting reinforcements daily, and that's not a good sign. So they're not going to actually go and attack the city because they are being well fortified. Now, the Lamanites, from time to time, will send out little things to attack. We see here in verse 6, it says, "And the Lamanites were sallying forth against us from time to time, resolving by stratagem to destroy us." Okay? And they can only hold so long before they have to retreat. Sorry. And so, so now they're struggling. And it says here in verse 7, it says, "We do wait in these difficult circumstances for the spaces of many months." Now, I'm no military expert, and I would personally love someone who is a strategist that's a member of the church, if they would do videos on how these are actually taking place and in a way we can actually see it, and it would make it more understandable. If any of you guys know someone who is a strategist in the church, encourage them to go through the Book of Mormon and give us a physical representation of what it's actually like and what's going on. Now, after the long wait, it's been recorded here that they're finally receiving food, and they received assistance from 2,000 men. And finally, now it says here in verse 9, it says, they did not send more strength unto us, and we knew not. So they have no idea what is going on at this time. They do not know the struggles that is going on back in the land of Zarahemla. And it was starting to weigh on them, because this is war, and war is hard. And when you're not getting support from your government, it starts to weigh down on you. And here in verse 9, it says, the cause why they did not send more strength unto us, we know not. Therefore, we were grieved, and also filled with fear, lest by any means the judgment of God should come upon our land, to overthrow and utter to our overthrow and utter destruction. So here they are. They are fatigued from all the battle, and they're afraid now. They've let fear set in their hearts. Now we need to remember, fear and faith cannot reside in your heart, in you at the same time. It is virtually impossible for them to do this. Either you will have faith that God will be with you, or you have fear that the judgments of God is going to come upon you for some reason and destroy you. These two things cannot exist. It's like you cannot have a positive thought and a negative thought at the same time. It is virtually impossible to do. Now, so what happens? Well, they decided to do the one thing they knew. It says here in verse 10, and we did pour our souls in prayer to God, that he would strengthen us and deliver us out of the hands of our enemies, yea, and also give us strength that we might retain our cities and our lands and our possessions for the support of our people. Yea, in verse 11. So that was their prayer in verse 10. Okay? They're changing their focus from we're going to be in trouble to this, that they want to be able to support their lands, their possessions, and support their people. And this is what God does. This is showing that God does answer prayers. And it says in verse 11, the Lord our God did visit us with assurances that he would deliver us, yea, insomuch that he did speak peace to our souls, and did grant unto us great faith. Now, if you understand faith is a spectrum. Okay? Now, remember back in Alma, when he's talking to the farmers, and he uses the seed has a way of just talking about faith and about the word. He says, if you have a particle of faith, or in other words, you have nothing more than a simple desire to hope that something's true. You plant that seed. That seed grows. And right now, we see that God has granted unto the armies great faith. This is several steps away from what They had been what Alma had taught the people back in chapter 32. Now, he says, and did cause us that we should hope for our salvation in him. It's only in him. Now, they are changing their mindset now that this has happened. Remember, their mindset first was that they're going to be destroyed. We see this in verse 9. Least by any means the judgments of God should come upon our land to overthrow and utter destruction. This was their mindset. Now, after a prayer and confirmation that the Lord would deliver them, their mindset changed. It says, and we did take courage with our small force, which we received, and were fixed with a determination to conquer our enemies and to maintain our lands and our possessions and our wives and our children and our liberty. So instead of focusing on their destruction, and they're talking about themselves, they're switching their mindset to that they are fighting for something greater than themselves. They're fighting for their friends, their family, their wives, their children, their liberty, their God. That mindset change was everything. That was everything they needed. And now they had to think up a strategy that would lure the Lamanites out of the city of Manti, that they can retake it. So they got together, all the captains and so forth got together and they talked. And what they did is the whole army went into the borders of near the wilderness near Manti. Now, this is like a carrot, okay? You to a donkey, you hang the donkey, or better yet, to most people, chocolate. It's like sticking a chocolate bar within your what are they called? Within range of your nose, but you can't actually reach it. So they're sitting there, and the Lamanites see this, and they're like, they're small, they're virtually weak. I think we could take them. So during the night, we see here in verse 16, we see that Gid and first Gid takes off with a small number of men, and he secretes himself into the wilderness. Now I find that word secrete very fascinating, because that word actually is the same word that where we get secret. And so he went into the wilderness. And then Teomner, I love that name. And another small band of men, they secrete themselves. They sneak off into the wilderness as well. So the Lamanites don't know what's going on. So they're hoping that there's enough men left to get the Lamanites to come after them. And in the morning, guess what? I'm guessing it in the morning. Guess what? It happens. The Lamanites came out, and it was a massive army. It says here, there are numerous army against us. The Lamanites did come out with their numerous armies, and they started chasing them. And they kept on going and going. And it says here in verse 19, it says, and it came to pass that the Lamanites did follow us with great speed, for they were exceedingly desirous to overtake us, that they might slay us. Therefore, they did follow us into the wilderness, and we did pass by in the midst of Gid and Teomner, insomuch that the Lamanites didn't discover them. That means the Lamanites, they had blinders. I don't know if any of you have ever rode on horses or anything, but horses have what's called blinders. This keeps them from being distracted on what's left and right. That's what the Lamanites had. They had this narrow vision of straight ahead. They only saw the Nephites that were in the main body. They didn't see the little people on the side. So, and after they had left, Teomner and Gid had some of their men attack the spies and kill them, so that they couldn't warn the main body of the Lamanites to return to the city. So, what happened was, once that was done, Gid and Teomner snuck back into the city of Manti and took over and killed the guards. Now, here's the problem with what the Lamanites were doing, is when they left, they only left a few guards because they honestly thought they didn't need that many. So Gid and Teomner was able to go and obtain possession of the stronghold and kill all the Lamanites that were there. Now, the main body of Lamanites, let's see here. Now, let's see. Now, the main body of the Nephite army kept on going until it looked like as if they were going to go to the land of Zarahemla. Well, the Lamanites, seeing this, they started to get scared and decide, you know what, we're not going to risk being ambushed. And so what they did was they decided to do a full retreat. So they started heading back. When the main body of the Nephites saw this, they were wise. Now, the Lamanites had thought the Nephites were tired from all the running, but so they didn't even bother going after them. And they took no thought of this. They says here that it was night. They did pitch their tents, for the chief captains of the Lamanites had supposed the Nephites were weary because of their march, and supposed that they had driven their whole army, therefore took no thought concerning the city. Now, during the night, when Lamanites started returning, the Nephites actually, Helaman did not, he caused his men not to go to sleep, but that they should march all night. Now, when this happened, it was already on the morrow when the Lamanites woke up. They were way beyond the Lamanites returning to the city, and they arrived to the city before the Lamanites. And so with this strategy, they were able to take the city of Manti. And when the Lamanites finally got back to the city, they saw this. They saw that somehow the Nephites had taken the city back, and they were afraid. They were scared. And so they fled into the wilderness, away out of the land of Nephi. And but they did take the women and children that they had taken prisoners, and the soldiers that they had taken prisoners. They took them with them. And since the armies were small, they didn't go chasing after them. Now it says here in verse 33, it says, But behold, we trust in our God, who has given us victory over those lands, insomuch that we have obtained those cities and those lands which were ours. Now, this whole entire time, each time they tried taking back a city, especially this last time, they were depressed because of the lack of provisions. They were getting tired. And but when they started putting their trust in God again, they received the strength that they needed. Now, it may not have been provisions that they needed, but they needed the good word of God to encourage them to fight. Now, again, at this time, they had no idea what was going on. And they put it here, it says, now we do not know the cause that the government does not grant us more strength, neither do those men who came up unto us know why we have not received greater strength. Now, when something like this happens, people begin to think that something bad is going on. It says here in verse 36, it says, we do not know, but yet we are unsuccessful. Behold, we do not know, but what ye are unsuccessful, and ye have drawn away the forces unto the court of the land. If so, we do not desire to murmur. It says, if it so be, behold, we fear that there is some faction in the government they do not that causes them not to be able to send more assistance. And then I love this one. Verse 37 is a great one. He says, but behold, it mattereth not. We trust God will deliver us, notwithstanding the weakness of our armies, yea, and deliver us out of the hands of our enemies. And the Lord supported them. Now, this is where Helaman's talking about how not a single soul of his sons had been killed. They may have all received injuries, but none of them dead. And that is wonderful. And now he closes this with to Moroni. He says, and now, my beloved brethren, Moroni, may the Lord our God, who has redeemed us and made us free, keep you continually in his presence, yea, and may he favor this people, even that ye may have success in obtaining the possession of all that which the Lamanites have taken from us, which was for our support. And now, behold, I close mine epistle. I am Helaman, the son of Alma. Now, in our lives, we all have trials. We have struggles that we cannot do on our own. And as we see here with Helaman in his army, that it is only when we ask God to help us, that we put our faith in God, that he will deliver us from any trial, anything to the best of his ability, the best of what he does. Now, it may not always be the way we want, as we found here in Alma 58 with Helaman and his people. We see that they needed food, they needed additional men, and they got a little. But what they got was encouraging words from God, that they will receive the strength needed to overcome. Now, I have a feeling, because of what type of people Helaman, Gid, and Teomner are that when they sat down to devise this strategy, that they sat down and thought, and they actually got on their knees and prayed to God that they would receive this strength. So this is their character. You cannot go against your character. And so I honestly think they nailed and prayed about what strategy to do, and then God revealed that this is the strategy that would work for them. Now, nowhere in the scriptures does it say that, but that's what I personally believe. And with that, we are done with Helaman's army. And now we are, Monday, we will be going to deal with Moroni and what's going on in the land of Zarahemla with the king's men. So until then, my friends, thank you for joining me. Thank you for all those people who have joined. I love you guys. I pray for you. And have a great Sabbath day. And we'll see you Monday morning for another Scripture of the Day.